Hey, what's up guys, this is Tech, and this is the first of a series of dueling videos that I'm going to be making and posting here to the channel. 1v1s are a really important part of PvP, both in Battlegrounds and in arenas. You know, a lot of people, when they play Battlegrounds, are really hoping for a good 1v1 fight instead of a Zerg, so the first thing I want to point out is, in contrast to my previous PvP video in which I strongly advocated the use of all PvE gear, that really only works in Battlegrounds when you have healers with you. In a 1v1, you really do need a lot of resilience, so I wear 4-piece Wrathful anytime I duel or play arenas. The only thing that's kind of worth talking about is Spark of Life, which is a restoration talent that buffs my self-heals by around 21%, which is really valuable in PvP for obvious reasons. And the glyphs that I use are standard. I use the same primes as I do in PvE. The difference is the majors, where I use Hex and Ghost Wolf. A Frost Mage is going to attempt to kite you and blast you from range. Pretty much standard for a caster, but because a Frost Mage has so many different snares, slows, and escapes, it's really difficult to stay on them, and if you let them Frostbolt you, they will kill you pretty quickly. A very good, strong Frost Mage can kill you in about 5 seconds. Their Frostbolts can hit upwards of 8k, so you need to avoid their damage as much as possible. You have to keep them moving so that they're not casting. You have to stay within wind shear range, that's really important. A good Frost Mage will simply outrange you because your shocks are only 20 yards and their spells are greater than that. Feral Spirit's really critical because it can break Frost Nova and it keeps you healed while you're trying to close the gap, and it also puts them on the defensive. It baits them into wasting their snares, and that's really going to help you. You really need to purge their shields, that's really critical. Don't try to damage them until both of their bubbles are gone. One of the biggest challenges against Frost Mages, and really all mages, is improved counterspell. If it's used preemptively, they can completely prevent all defense, including the dropping of totems. If you start a duel without your totems down and they use this preemptively, they will kill you instantly. Because a good Frost Mage who's doing that preemptively knows what he's doing, and he will nuke you to death before you can even move. So make sure you counter it with totems first. This next duel actually illustrates a loss, and it illustrates what happens when you face off against a really talented Frost Mage. It shows a lot of kiting. This is what you can expect in a 1v1, especially against good Battleground players. And I made a number of errors in this particular duel. I didn't use grounding totem nearly as effectively as I could. You'll also notice that I let the Elemental nuke the crap out of me the entire time. And in 4.0 we have a new ability called Bind Elemental, which you can use on a Frost Mage pet to shut down that damage for a couple seconds at least. It's kind of a long cast time, so it's debatable whether it's worth it. Against a Frost Mage, if you sit there and stand casting, he'll counterspell you, which you can see him doing a number of times in this particular duel. He uses counterspell very effectively. It doesn't even look like he has improved counterspell because it only seems to silence me for 2 seconds, but still, he casted it really the right time. He manages to interrupt one of my hexes, which would have been critical. The reason I actually lost this duel is not necessarily because I was outplayed, but rather I actually just ran out of mana. You can see towards the end, I don't have enough mana to heal myself. So at that point, I'm basically screwed, and he just kites me and finishes me off. This is what happens against a very good Frost Mage. They're very hard to beat as an Enhancement Shaman. In this one I actually get off to a rocky start. As you can see, I actually have the wrong mage targeted. There's some level 70 mage standing right next to me, and I assume it's him. In this video, what you'll see the mage doing, he's trying to bait me into coming up near his elemental. He's trying to make me play on his ground. And One of the tactics you can use against frost mages, as I do in this particular duel, is to simply run away and wait until they have to come to you. A lot of times they'll waste abilities like blink trying to catch you instead of using them to get away from you, and that's exactly what you want. So once the battle gets on your terms and not his, it's a lot easier to beat them. If you're serious about PvP, pick up engineering. With equal gear and equal skill, a good frost mage will beat an enhancement shaman every time. These are the best tips I can offer, but all I can say really is good luck. PvP fire mages are a lot more rare than PvP frost mages for a lot of reasons. It's a weaker spec overall. I actually had a very hard time finding a fire mage to duel for this video, and the person that I did find is unfortunately not very good, so this isn't a particularly great duel. But the reason that fire mages are a lot easier is because they don't have as many instant casts like Ice Lance, they don't have an ice barrier either, and they don't have nearly the ability to snare you. So really with a fire mage, all you have to do is trinket out of Dragon Breath. You'll see I actually resisted in this duel, so I didn't have to trinket, but if you do, just go ahead and do that, get rid of the stun, purge and wind shear, and close the gap, and they should die relatively quickly. Their damage can be really strong if you let them kite you, so just stay on them and play aggressive. Shadow Priests, Shadow Priests, Shadow Priests. These guys are the easiest of all classes to kill in my experience. They're extremely vulnerable to all of our abilities. We can purge their one defense, which is shield, and sometimes they renew themselves, you can purge that too. Their casts are slow. Mind Flay is a complete joke. You can wind shear that really easily. The only really control they've got is breakable by Tremor. They can try mind controlling you. Tremor breaks that too. They can disperse, but if they do, just heal yourself while they're dispersed, and you'll come out at full health and they'll still be low. Trinket out of Psychic Horror and whoop their asses. They're really easy. Warlocks vary greatly in skill. Sometimes you face really good ones and they're very hard to kill. A lot of times you face very mediocre ones, like this first guy that I dueled is really bad. He appears to be Destro spec, I think. I'm not really a pro at determining Warlock spec, but that's what it looks like. Most Warlocks are extremely susceptible to getting their fears broken. If you interrupt fear, a lot of times they panic and don't know what to do. So you just stay on them and just wreck their faces. After doing so, this guy apparently thought that Feral Spirit was cheesy, so he challenged me to beat him without my wolves, and it's really not that difficult. I really only use wolves to add insult to injury, to be honest, but and you can see in the rematch, the wolves didn't really help me that much. Again, all you really need to do is prevent them from fearing you and getting themselves into a groove where they fear, kite you, and nuke you while you're feared. Just shear it and you're done. It's your lucky day if you run into an Affliction Warlock in any PvP situation. They simply cannot do enough damage to you to kill you before you whoop their asses. Even if you let them fear you, the fact that they're based on dots, if you let a Warlock live for long enough for one of their dots to run full duration, you're just bad. They just can't compete. Drain Life doesn't do enough damage. You can wind shear the crap out of them. I interrupt Unstable Affliction once. I almost got the second one, but I didn't because of lag. I just destroyed this guy. This last one's against Demonology Warlock. I think you'll find that in PvP, the Demo Warlocks are generally the best. Demo offers the most PvP utility, and therefore people who try to use skill over gear generally pick the spec that offers the most things to click and the most different abilities to use. Usually against a really good Demo lock I lose. This particular duel I win, but I outgear this guy, and he didn't use his demon form, and he didn't use a lot of abilities that he could have used. I have a buddy that I PvP with sometimes who's a Demo lock, and I'll get a duel with him sometime soon. He's really good and he kicks my butt. But this guy, just don't stand in hand of Gul'dan. Just same Warlock strat. In groups, always target the Warlocks first. They're an easy kill, but they'll kill you first if they're not checked. Poor Elemental Shamans. They really got hosed in 4.0 simply because they didn't get buffed the same way the other casters did. Arcane Blast, even Frostbolt, can do more damage than Lava Burst, and you know, their ability to spam lightning bolts and stuff is really just not that impressive in this patch. This first duel is against a guy who's very undergeared, but this is not atypical for Battlegrounds. I mean, this guy does Q, and there are a lot of other people just like him that do. And an undergeared Elemental Shaman is an extremely easy kill. I think past Shadow Priests, they're probably the second easiest class to kill. All you have to do is wind shear one or two of their casts, get in their faces, damage them. They're very quick to go on the defensive and start healing surge spam. Once they do that, unless they have someone else healing them, they're going to die, because you can outdamage them pretty easily. In these two duels, I picked these among many that I took because they highlight something that I think is kind of unfair. Lava Lash does more damage now than Lava Burst used to do. So the one really selling feature of an Elemental Shaman with Lava Burst is kind of taken away from them and given to us. Who's to say what's going to happen at 85? They might completely switch the tables back again so that Lava Burst is something to fear, but for now it's really not. All you have to do is kill them. One tactic that I like to use is I like to bait them into blowing Thunderstorm on my wolves if I can. I also make sure to trinket out of the Earthbind root thing, and then I try to kill the Earthbind totem if I can so I don't get rerooted. But pretty much just play aggressive and slaughter them. Since I had some time at the end of this video, I thought I would pad it with just some random footage that I took over the course of recording for this video. I have a couple of sort of outtake-ish kind of things with a few really bad players that were in fact so bad that I couldn't ever feature them in a dueling video because it's a joke. And then it ends off with a an illustration of something that's very broken in 4.0, and I think you'll appreciate it as soon as you see it. It's sped up to fit. So enjoy.